Hi guys, welcome to my channel. It's Hannah here. Today we're going to be talking about milestones that happened during the second trimester of pregnancy. If you didn't know, the second trimester goes between the weeks of 14 and 26, and I would say it has the most amount of change that happens during that time. With that being said, let's get into it. To start, the first thing that I took note of was during week 16, I felt nauseous again. Like, I feel like it was just something like, it went away for a really long time, the morning sickness, and then that day it like just came back and it felt gross. Like, I completely felt gross. As well as I had swollen lower legs and ankles, and they weren't bad. I want to say if that was the first time experiencing it, I don't know how many weeks, if it's not during week 16. I remember getting a swollen foot, and it felt so crazy to me, and like it was so soon, so I want to believe that it was before week 16, but also it could be week 16. I honestly have no idea. And then that was all that really happened in week 16. And then during week 18, I was up north at this place we go every single year. And we were sitting by the beach. And I was just like laying there, like laying back, relaxed, whatever. And all of a sudden I felt like a flutter. And I was like, oh my God. It was the first time I got to feel like the baby kick. Or like move around, but like kick. And it just felt like a little like, da-da-da. Like very minimal, very lightly, and that was the cutest thing in the world, and I was so excited to share that with my family. They're like, oh my God, I felt the baby flutter for the first time. And that was during week 18. And then between the week of 18 and 19, I was showering and getting out of the shower, like lotioning my belly, everything. I noticed that I was getting that pregnancy line that's under your belly button. And so I thought that was pretty cool as well. That I like got to see, and like for the first time, like I'm always looking at my stomach, and that was the first time. So it was like right before week 19 is when I started to get that line. Even though it isn't even dominant now, but it's still like there. Going into week 19 as well, I started to like pop a little bit to where it was like looking more like a bump rather than just like fat. And then during that amount of time, and during around that time, I felt comfortable wearing clothes that like fitted me more because I didn't feel fat in them, versus before that point I was just putting like baggy stuff over it because it just looked like I had chub. It just looked like I was bloated. And so that was like the first time that I got to like wear like a tight dress and like get to see like, oh, like it's a little tiny bump. It's so cute. And like so I got to embrace myself, and it felt good to like feel comfortable in my own skin again, and like not just think like, oh, I just don't feel good. Like it just is what it is. So I thought that was like a really like, I would say like the biggest milestone for myself of like going into like feeling confident. I would say like that was like that during that time. At the end of week 19, we had an ultrasound, and that was the first time we got to see the baby, knowing that it was a boy. And so before that you couldn't tell anything, and when we got the blood work to find out the gender, that was at week 13 when we found out. And then now going into week 19, we got to have the ultrasound, and you got to see his boy parts, and he's definitely a boy, let's just say that. And so it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool seeing for the first time of like, oh my God, like that's my little boy. And like nice to know and see like, okay, no, like he's a boy. From the first time of him moving around up into when I felt him on the outside move, I felt him just like in the inside when I'm like laying down. It was definitely something that I had to be laying down for to like be able to feel, because my stomach like pressed down so I could like, everything was more combined. other than that, because like he was so small, like you can't expect him to have like such big movements. At week 20, that was the first time feeling him on the outside of my stomach, and I was just like in bed, moving around my hands, like, you know, just like talking to him, doing like my nightly like routine that I have with him. And I like felt like a movement, but I'm like, was that him? Like, am I tripping? I don't know, like, is that too soon? Like, I have no idea. And then I was pretty sure of it though. And then after the next following week, week 21, it was definitely him, like feeling him on the outside. I could feel him often laying down, not when I was like standing up, sitting, like nothing. Like I had to like literally be like on my back to be able to feel him. And then let's see. And then at 21 weeks and 6 days, I had another ultrasound. And that was another in-depth one. The one that was at 19 weeks, that one was also like the in-depth one, so they were like measuring his organs, making sure that they're growing properly, that they were growing properly, making sure like his head is the size that it should be, he's at a good length, everything about it. And while I bring up that at 19 weeks, the baby was weighing 11 ounces and his heartbeat was 155. And then at that point, I was 124 pounds. And then my next appointment that I had, another in-depth one, it was because his right hand was closed and so they couldn't count his fingers. So they're like, we're gonna have to retest. We just want to make sure that everything is good. So for me, I was excited because I got to like get another ultrasound, and it was like a longer one. And so that was really nice to like being able to have like another appointment. And that one, he also, like, his hand was closed, but then we did get some like opening hand, so I definitely had like a lot of ultrasounds, I would say, because of that. And then during that appointment, it was so cool because as I'm feeling him inside me move, I'm seeing him on the ultrasound screen, him moving around. And like, so getting to know what body part am I feeling under my ribs, or what body part am I feeling that's like so low, and like getting to see him move, it was so crazy to me. Like that was the best experience. That appointment at 21 weeks, I was 128 pounds myself, and then the baby's heartbeat was 150. Let's see here. And then also during that time, I started the nursery, getting everything out, prepping, getting everything ready, kind of like designing what I wanted for it, and like then getting like the crib, the dresser, the rug, the rocking chair, and like just like finalizing a few things that I wanted to get that I knew I wouldn't be getting at my baby shower, that I wanted to just like prep. And then at 22 weeks, I was working so much. As much as I could, I was constantly on my feet, which caused my lower legs to completely like puff up. Like knee down was a completely different person. And I'd seen that in pregnancy, that you do get like water weight and swollenness, but I didn't expect it to happen so soon. And I thought once it started, it like didn't ever go away. And so I was kind of like, oh my God, like I'm huge. Like it had my feet, my ankles, everything was just so different. And then that was the week that I ended up getting sick with COVID. So then I had to take some time off of work anyways. And so not going anywhere, not doing anything, I just kind of laid down all day. And it went away perfectly fine. And then with COVID was okay. I lived. It wasn't that bad. I feel like we were both okay, which I'm very grateful for, because it could have been high risk and it wasn't. We got over it real fast, didn't really have to take medicine. I'm definitely like not against medicine, but like I would rather like do without. And then at 23 weeks, I will have a whole video in itself, but at 23 weeks is when I announced that I was pregnant to my social media. And so everybody outside of my family or the close people to me at that point didn't know I was pregnant. And so that was when I like made a video and I posted it everywhere. I will probably make its own video like regarding like how I told everybody. Like in the middle of being sick, like I had nothing to do, so I was like, might as well tell people I'm pregnant. 24 weeks, I was having like, up until this whole time, like I can't even lie, like my face has like just been breaking out so much. But then at 24 weeks, like I had like a lot of breakouts here, just like hormonal breakouts that were starting to like dry up a lot. And I also switched my moisturizer and I was starting to use a toner, and just everything about my skincare routine, it was different. And so it was like just drying it out so much. But I noticed that like at that time it did, and I don't know if it's because I switched what I was using or if it was just a time of like switching over like or just like progressing through like all of the hormones, that my face was like transitioning a little bit. I would say it's the same now, other than like it's more controlled when it's dry or not, and I can like handle it better. But I also think like hormones are just up. Like that's it. 24 weeks my face started to like dry out, and then 25 weeks my face started to like clear up a little bit, which I'm so happy for because it's definitely a lot better than it was. And then during 25 weeks I just had a normal like OB appointment. It wasn't anything special. There was no like ultrasound and everything. It was just a checkup of like making sure I'm good, if the baby's good. I then talked about COVID related things of just making sure that there wouldn't be any issues coming into like the future. And they did mention, because I got COVID, that they're just going to watch me a little bit closely in the 3rd trimester, just making sure that like everything stays good. And then for the last week of my 2nd trimester, I am constantly like lotioning like my stomach. And when I lotion my stomach, I'm also lotioning like my legs, my hips, my sides, my arms, my chest, everything. And so I did notice getting stretch marks on the side of my chest. And during that week was like kind of like, I feel like when the hormones started to hit me a little bit more, like of like just me being more emotional. I would say like I just kind of felt stressed of like how real everything's been, and like not getting the support that I would necessarily would want for myself. And it was just like overwhelming. And so like I feel like I was definitely like the most stressed during that week of like, oh my god, like we're cutting down the time, we don't have like a lot of time left, and I feel like I'm doing it alone kinda. And so that's a whole thing on its own. But then like I feel like I'd have like a lot of like mixed emotions of like one moment I'd be fine, and then the next moment like I'm not, and like I'd be laughing but like I'm crying turns into laughing. Like it was just, I was all over the place, all over the place. But I would also say that was like the first time I like had a mental breakdown of just like feeling so overwhelmed. And then I know this is going into like my 3rd trimester, but I would say for the next couple of weeks, which I'll probably start that in my next video or in my future video when I talk about my 3rd trimester, of that next couple of weeks I like had like a few mental breakdowns of just like it's getting real. and it's getting real, and like just being able to like handle that and control that. 26 weeks that I did have some swelling in my feet again, and I kind of like monitor like how much I'm on my feet. Like I definitely am not one to be on my feet for 12 hours a day, like thankfully, as well as like elevating my feet and everything. And then I'd say like he definitely was very like shaky at first. I feel like it was just like a lot of quick like jumps is what I was feeling, but like going up until now, he's being more active of like pressing against my skin and like gliding it. I can like feel him and he'll like keep it there. Like it's a completely different feeling than it was like when I got to first feel him on the outside. And that concludes today's video. Make sure to subscribe, and that bell notification that you see at the bottom, that is just making sure that you get the notification when I do upload. I have a lot of people on my other platforms asking, did you upload, or commenting back on that. I would just really like it if you guys stayed on YouTube and connected with me a little bit more, and so we can be interactive. I definitely love what it's been so far, and I hope you guys are enjoying these videos. I'm very excited to like document and be able to like look back on this of like the first time my feet swelled. Oh, the first time like I felt him move. Like to me it just like feels so good that like I'm forever gonna have this here, and that also I get to share my experience with you guys. So with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys. This is what I look like at 31 weeks. I love the bump so much. For anybody who doesn't know, now you know.